Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm gonna do a quick video just showing how I use the Unity app with the Electrum Sabercraft sabers. Um, both the ones I have are D3 NeoPixel, but we'll get into that in just a moment here. So, just want to show you how we use that. I use the app with my iPhone. The iPhone I have is actually the XS Max, so it's not like the newest one, but it is a pretty decent iPhone. Um, yeah, let's get right into it. First, you want to do is get your sabers out of sleep. So I'm just going to start with this Aurora here. It takes a little while for it to boot up. Let's get the EvoFlex going. Cool. So yeah, they're just going to boot up here in a couple seconds here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the app going. So the first thing you want to do, you want to make sure it's actually on. And we'll go onto the app here. Should pull up my saber. You can name it certain things. I've had a hard time getting it to name and remember what the name is. Obviously it's showing like a remnant there, but it's actually this one, the EvoFlex. So once you click that, it'll connect. Takes a little moment with the whole saber recognizing it. So once you're in the app, you'll get some few things here. Let me set this saber down just for now so I can use my hands. So with the app, you have a battery percentage level, and then the connection strength, master volume. I don't know if you could hear it change in the background, but that's how you'll be able to control your volume. But the main point is profiles, because you can do all this fun stuff actually on the switch there. But the first thing you want to do is go into user profiles. Takes a little bit for it to connect to it. Once we're in there, you have your profile list. 8 profiles. The first one's 0, so you get 8 profiles. And you can just click on them to switch them. I already have them all set, but I'll go ahead and set a new one on this video for us. Maybe we'll redo my crystal focus one I have on there.
Crystal focus.
So I got that set up as a green. And when you click it, right? So we got my profile set. It already works. You can sample it in real time, all the features, but the saber has to be on for it to communicate with the app. So once you're in there, I got that profile selected. So we back out, and what you want to do, you have to go through all the 4 settings here in order for it to work right. For me, that's what I've been doing. So I kind of start with the sound. Let's see, I got a couple of different sound fonts here. Let's say I wanted to set this up with the Ray Skywalker. This one is actually a free one I got on the Facebook groups. Somebody made this one. I forget the name of it. But we'll set it up just for this video. We'll do this sound font here. So we got the sound going. That's the first thing I do, set up the sound. Then I mess with the blade. So I want this to be a blue blade. So you get presets up top, or you can actually do the blade color. Now this is the important thing that I've fiddled with. Is sometimes, so let's say we want the blue one. The default ones kind of flicker 2 different colors, but you set those colors to kind of be closer to each other, is what I do. So we're going to this top one is the actual main color. Set this down. And you can tweak it in real time, but this is how it works. So you move the sliders. So say I change it to a green. You have to click that for it to actually take effect. But now you can see it's flickering between the blue and the green that I had previously, or the green and the blue I had previously. It is kind of wonky, as you see. When I had touched something and I lost all settings. So go back into there, switch that. I want this one to be blue. So in this case, we're just going to do blue. Click on that. Blade should change blue. And now it's quite a bit of a flicker there. And the reason is because the second color, you see I have a bit of green in there too. But if what you could do is just turn that green down, bring the blue almost close to what it was. Click on that. Now the flicker should be closer to the same blue. Hopefully the blue is showing up. So the flicker isn't that strong. in person, but if you take that blue down a little bit more, click on it again, now we got more of a flicker notice there. But now that we clicked on it, it should be saved. The setting should be ready to go there. Sometimes the flickers are so intense that as you were looking at it, it's just hard on your eyes, especially with the NeoPixel. So that's a good blue. We're going to keep that one. Everything here else is fine. You could switch the clash. I just keep the clash full on. I mean, you don't even, with the NeoPixel, you don't need the white up at all. It just needs to be everything maxed up. But I don't think this affects anything, the actual white bar. But to make sure that flashes up, everything up, click that, make sure it's flashing white. And you can test it in real time. So you can just hit for me, I have that set to a clash or a lockup. So I use that bottom button for that. So everything on this page is good. We're going to go back. Now I'm going to go to the Kinetic Engine, because that's where you can kind of tweak a little bit of the swing and the motion settings on the Kinetic. I use the hybrid setting. The hybrid allows some of the classic swing sounds to still come through. So it's not just the smooth files. I also get some of that in there, which, I mean, putting it on smooth, I don't know if I even miss those hybrid sounds, but I'm just used to using the hybrid to see what the hybrid does for us. I don't even really hear the old swings in there. See if I can get a clash. That works. So like I said, test in real time, make sure everything is right. I'm gonna leave it on hybrid, even though some of them not coming. You have different settings here. I kind of leave them default. I don't really mess with it too much. What I do is bring up some of that swing max mid boost. I kind of usually max that part out, leave this default. But what I do is I test it in real time. So if I don't want that boost to be off of there, you can bring that back. So I got the bass boost maxed, or raised a little bit, but I kind of like the mid one. So it's just, you just got to fiddle with, and each sound font is different. Depending on the sound, you might want more mids or more highs. The bass, I never really noticed too much difference on that. I do raise the clash sensitivity up a little bit from default. 7 or 8 is my sweet spot. 8 will clash with a light connection with another saber. But 8 will also, as you regrip the saber, sometimes the tosses you'll get a clash. So 7 and 8 kind of the sweet spot. You do have like auto lockup functions. I don't really dual. I don't do a lot of that stuff. So I just turn the auto lockup off because I don't like having it happen in the middle of something. I'd rather just have the button to do that. Localized locked up is a new feature. If you click on that, you'll get. So default, when you do that, for some reason you'll get a little bit there and a little bit there. I don't know why, but if you hit it once, it'll move to the middle, kind of other areas where it's more common where you want it to be. But I don't know, I don't necessarily care for that localized feature yet. Kind of just like the whole blade to kind of go. Once you get these settings dialed, I don't really mess with any of these. Like I said, I tweak a little bit of the classic interval. That's with the hybrid setting. And I tweak mainly that clash sensitivity. So I don't want to have to swing it too hard to get that clash. So once we get done with that, that's all fine and dandy. Sound profiles, we can go back to the sound, because this is where you tweak most of these 3 options and where I spend most of my time. So let's listen to the sound file. Right now, the bass is really low, mids and trebles are pretty even. But what we're going to do, this sound font in particular, a little tinny. Let's see what happens if we bring the bass up. So I got rid of that tinny sound. Maybe the mids, bring it down. See what happens when we get the highs pretty high. You know, and it really, you just got to fiddle with it like this. Kind of find right where you like them. I think I like the bass and the treble pretty high on this particular font. So let's say we're good with that. Everything else is still good. Ray Skywalker is still selected. That's great. Back out. We set the volume here. This depends on where you want your profile to be saved. I always kind of check this because sometimes the volume will reset. I kind of like it right around here. Not too quiet, not too loud. Now we go back into user profiles. This is where you end up saving the whole profile. So it's loading back in, accessing the actual chip in there, the D3. Once everything looks good, you want to watch the details. Right now it says crystal focus is green, volume 86%. We're going to hit save. You can see now it says Ray Skywalker. It's blue and 82%. So I got everything set correctly.
Ray Skywalker.
There we go. So we got it boot back up. So now, once you get your profile saved, it should be good to go. All the settings I did are on there. So awesome. Should turn off, turn back on. Yep, same sound font, everything. And then, so if you want to switch profiles, you can do it through the switch. I prefer to just boot up the app, connect it, and then click on one of my profiles. This is Sigil. Sound font came from Electrum Sabergraphs. All my settings for that profile are done. Got the smooth in there. You heard that little whoop. It was in there with the hybrid. Still has all that. Okay, now last thing I want to do is show you how I do the switch settings. So check that out. This part can be a little frustrating. One thing I will note is you don't have to save the switch settings with the profile. You can just tweak the switch settings on its own. So let's take a look at that. Going into that part of the app, let me set this down here for a second. Now we'll look at, see what we got here. So button 1 is always going to be power on, basically, is going to be the bottom button. So power on, bottom button is what they're talking about when they say button 1. It was really confusing for me at first. Button 2 is always the middle button. So what I do here is I have it almost a second hold time on button 1, and this, I'm not sure why it's showing 0. I usually put it to like 2 second, like 0.2 seconds, something like that. So it triggers that I'm going to be moving button 1 to button 2 to turn it on. And the same thing with button 1 on power off, they're referring to the top button. Even though it says button 1, like you would think, oh, why isn't it button 1, button 2, button 3? It's something I had to figure out on my own. But yeah, so what you want to do is set the time that you're holding the button. And you can test this in real time too. So if I turn it off, see, I tweaked it. There we go. So, like I said, almost a second, and then once you're there, it should turn on as you're holding it. See? I hold it maybe too long. There we go. So it's more of a quick motion for that. And why I do that is because when I do spin and re-grip the saber, sometimes I'll I'll grab that part. Maybe it'll fire up with my pinky, but that usually turns off the saber, and I don't want that to happen when I'm playing with it, But I've never had it turn off on me accidentally, because usually I'll re-grip it or hold it like that, something will happen, but most part it doesn't turn off on me accidentally. It doesn't turn on me accidentally either, doing this method. So hopefully this is helping you guys out, because I did struggle with it for a little while, but after you play with it and figure it out, I don't really have any problems with it. Etonic on this one with the green. And we can see what settings I did on this one. Oops, I clicked it again. Back. So if we go to sound, you'll see that's the EQ I have set up. Bass, mid, treble. For this particular font, figure like the smooth really pops out with that. Kinetic Engine on this. Like I said, I usually do that mid boost all the way up because the bass is already pretty boost. So 1.50 on there, and I max out that mid. It just brings out just a little bit more that I want in that font. Like I said, I don't really switch any of these. Sensitivity is at 8 on this one. But yeah, that's kind of how I've been using it. And I'll go in and switch the profiles as I see fit. But I think the last thing I'll show you is this pixel plug I made here. So I just got this today. I met up with Derek. He's the guy over at 5280 Printing. And he provided for me a little 3-pixel connector right here, which I had to put together with a tiny little piece of blade. Then I ended up gluing this plug in, which I got from Red Fox Drummer on the groups. Check out his store too if you want some cool plugs. But definitely, if you want a NeoPixel adapter, contact 5280 Printing. He does great work. And I had to get that all fit to slide in. Falls right out perfectly. And we got the whole light up feature now. So we got the whole plug light up and still gives a little flickering in there. Same thing I said, this setup. Sometimes the off doesn't work as good as the on. But most of the time it works fine. Just a little finicky. Okay, I think that's about it, guys. Please let me know if you have any other questions. Hopefully I answered most of them there. Alright, everything is working. And my profiles are on there. Yeah, flawless. Alright, thank you. Thanks for watching.